if you're looking for another running back, whether it's an RB2 or a flex guy, who's your number one guy for this?
RB2 for me is going to be Aaron Jones. I think he's the best flex consideration right now. And some people would, again, try to put him higher, but also you don't know if Aaron Jones is going to come out and be a guy that can win you your fantasy league every week. But I feel like he would be great to pair up with, if you potentially did go higher with one of the guys like we mentioned, he would be a great 2 option, or he could as well be a 1. But when you look at how consistent he's been, and he kind of feels like an all-around guy too, kind of like a Kamara or a McCaffrey, he can catch passes, but he's very easy to take it around on a sweep or bust it up on a screen as well. So I do have Aaron Jones here at number 1.
Okay, that's where I have Dalvin Cook, actually. He's not on my bell count backs just because of Kirk Cousins and their defense, because they could possibly get behind and be out of games to where they don't run. But outside of that, I think he is absolutely, he's a bell cow back type of back. It's literally just his quarterback and their schedule. I think he's going to get a few less carries than what he normally should because they'll be behind in games, which is why I've got him as a flex back. He's still going to have breakout games, but I wouldn't want to rely on him as my number 1 guy every week.
All right, then.
Who you got at number 2?
Number 2 for me is going to be Ezekiel Elliott. And like I mentioned, he does seem sometime to fade from game to game, but there are some games also where he's going to easily give you 125, 150, and he can have some decent pass catching ability out of that backfield. And with the 6th best offensive line in the NFL, according to PFF, that Zeke is going to be looking to come back, because after he had those first few strong years, and a lot of people have been talking about the, offensive line not being healthy, or is it Zeke? Well, in my opinion, when are we going to start holding both parties accountable? I think it's now time for that this season, which makes you hesitate a little bit on Zeke. That's why I put him here on this list.
Okay, number 2, I got Kareem Hunt. He would be my second running back to actually go on the list. He's the second back behind Nick Chubb, but he actually had more carries than Nick Chubb last season. He had 800-plus rushing yards for 6 touchdowns and another 304 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. So he gets it done on both the receiving and the rushing. He splits time with Chubb, but just as I just mentioned, he gets his carries in just the same as Chubb does. They both eat because this is a very run-centric offense. He's a safe flex back. Who you got at 3?
Number 3, Saquon Barkley. So excited to see this guy come back from injury. And it's really pissing me off because some people are saying, is Saquon potentially a bust? Is he even going to be able to come back and perform like he did? And I'm like, you guys kidding me? Did we not see what Saquon did? He ran for 1,000 as he was hampered with the Giants. And I know some people were questioning, what about his career? Well, what is he going to do with this and that? Well, let's let Saquon come back. He looks healthy. We've been hearing good things in camp. I think he's going to be a running back that, again, might have some hesitation because of the injury. But if you pick him here, he could absolutely produce, and it would kind of be a no-brainer.
Okay, I'm kind of scared of Saquon. At number 3, I'm going with J.K. Dobbins.
He did not make my cut.
He's going to start to take carries away from Lamar Jackson because that offense is going to have to start to morph into something that looks more like a normal NFL offense because teams are actually starting to figure out how to slow down the Lamar we trust run offense. He's got to start handing the ball off and throwing more, which means he's going to have to establish the run, and J.K. Dobbins is going to get more touches, especially with the exit of Mark Ingram to the Texans. He went for 805 yards and 9 touchdowns last year, which was very formidable for fantasy. I think his numbers take an uptick as Baltimore tries to change the identity of their offense in order to get over the hump moving forward, because what they do does not work in January. They've got to change it, and I think the change starts with JK. Who you got at 4?
Number 4, Jonathan Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts. You know, some people, they saw how he kind of got suppressed last year, didn't get fully released, but once he did, he immediately took off, and you could easily pick him in the first set as well, but I don't feel like he's going to be able to offer as much versatility as a lot of these running backs do. We see a lot of versatility with the quarterback position as well. If he could learn to pass catch more, you could potentially talk about him being RB2 or RB3. Like, he's got that type of power and ambition at the position, so I am going to put Jonathan Taylor there at number 4.
That's an interesting spot there. I've got Ronald Jones at number 4. Rojo solidified his spot as RB1 last season, even with the addition of Leonard Fournette. He still got the lion's share of the carries. It's a loaded roster. He'll never in life see 8 in the box with everyone on that team. So he's always going to have room in space. He actually is a very good pass catching running back as well. So, I mean, his team is also going to benefit from being up big in the majority of their games this season, which means that they'll fall back on the run. So, I mean, he's going to get a lot, like he's going to get heavy carries in the third and fourth quarter of lots of games because they'll be up by 2-3 scores and they'll shut the offense down and just hand it to him play after play. So that he'll be a very beneficial fantasy back. Well, you got a 5.
Number 5, Antonio Gibson out of the Washington football team. Extreme Swiss Army knife. I mean, he's lining up at receiver sometimes. You can also obviously have him at the running back position like we're discussing here. He's extremely versatile. And, I mean, overall, when he came onto that team and he immediately provided that spark and you saw how he fit well into that offense, complimenting a Terry McLaurin. And now maybe Fitzpatrick will feel kind of confident with him in the backfield. So I think Gibson is a great grab at number 5 if you're looking for maybe a little bit of a flex back.
Okay, not mad at that. I'm giving you Aaron Jones at number 5.
Okay.
A-Rod is back, so that basically rights the ship for everything in Green Bay. 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns last season. Also another 355 receiving with a couple of touchdowns. He'll also never see 8 in the box like some of the rest of these guys. He does dirt, and he actually catches a lot of passes out of the backfield. He does work in both facets of the game. Aaron Rodgers is an easy flex pick. I mean, Aaron Jones, my bad.